At 3:47 in the morning, Marcus Williams had only one thing on his mind. One more customer. A few more dollars. His 8-year-old son Jake's custody hearing was just 12 hours away, and he still hadn't paid his lawyer's fees. When he noticed the pregnant woman crying in the back seat, he didn't know she was Judge Sarah Chen, the same judge who would decide whether he would ever see his son again. The next 20 minutes would change both of their lives forever. Marcus Williams sat behind the wheel, waiting for his next call in Seattle's wet streets. His 2015 Toyota Camry had high mileage but was still reliable. Just like him. He had been working the night shift for 6 months, ever since Jake's mother, Emma, had left them. Emma had walked out one day, leaving behind only a note. "I'm not ready for this, Marcus. Jake will be better off with you." Since then, Marcus had been trying to be both a mother and a father. He worked construction during the day and drove for Uber at night. Sleep was a thing of the past, but he was willing to do anything to take care of Jake. The phone rang. A new call, a pickup from Seattle General Hospital. The distance was short, but calls from the hospital were usually urgent. Marcus started the engine. When he arrived at the hospital entrance, he saw her. A middle-aged, elegant woman, pregnant and clearly in labor. She held a small suitcase in her hand, her face panicked. Marcus jumped out of the car. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked, running to her side. Sarah Chen was breathing heavily. "Uber. I ordered. I think my baby is coming." Marcus didn't hesitate. He gently took the woman's arm and opened the car door. "Let's get to the hospital right away." "Which hospital?" "Seattle Presbyterian," Sarah said once the pain subsided. "But my doctor should be waiting there." Marcus stepped on the gas but drove carefully. He looked at Sarah in the mirror. She had her eyes closed, trying to take deep breaths. "Is this your first child?" Marcus asked, trying to lighten the mood. "Yes," Sarah said, a smile in her voice. "I didn't know it would be this hard." "I'm a father too," Marcus said. "I have an 8-year-old son, Jake. I panicked when he was born. My ex-wife took me to the hospital, and I took 3 wrong turns." Sarah laughed softly. "Were you using Uber back then too?" "No, I had a regular job back then. Now, things are a bit complicated." Another contraction came and Sarah's face twisted. Marcus sped up but stayed steady. "Breathe," Marcus said. "When Jake was born, the nurse told me the same thing. I wasn't the one giving birth, but I panicked as if I was." Sarah laughed a little longer this time. "You seem like a very good father." Marcus's face darkened. "I try my best, but sometimes I don't think it's enough." At a traffic light, Marcus looked at Sarah in the mirror again. She seemed calmer now, but there was still pain on her face. "Is your baby's father waiting at the hospital too?" Marcus asked. Sarah's face crumpled. "No. He's not in the picture anymore." "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked." "It's okay," Sarah said. "How long have you been raising your son on your own?" 6 months, said Marcus. "My ex-wife just left one day. She didn't even say goodbye to Jake." "That must be so painful." "It's harder for Jake. He keeps asking when his mom is coming back. I don't know what to tell him." Sarah felt another pang of pain, but she tried to focus on Marcus. "Are you telling him the truth?" "In an age-appropriate way. But how do you tell an 8-year-old that your mother doesn't want us?" "That's really tough," said Sarah, her voice filled with genuine understanding. "You're caught between protecting a child's innocence and telling the truth." Marcus was surprised. This woman seemed to know a lot about these things. "Do you have experience with this kind of thing?" he asked. Sarah paused. "It's part of my job. I deal with family issues." As they approached the hospital, Sarah's contractions grew more frequent. "We're almost there," Marcus said, trying to reassure her. "Just a few more minutes." "Thank you," Sarah said, out of breath. "Really, you're very kind. Most people wouldn't help in a situation like this." "Doesn't everyone help?" Marcus asked, genuinely surprised. Sarah looked at him in the mirror. She realized how innocent and kind-hearted this man really was. No, she said quietly. Not everyone would. When they arrived at the emergency room entrance of Seattle Presbyterian Hospital, Marcus immediately got out of the car and opened Sarah's door. As she stumbled while trying to stand up, Marcus held her by the arm. "Take it easy," he said. "I'll get your luggage." Inside, the nurses recognized Sarah immediately. "Judge Chen," one of them shouted. "Dr. Martinez is waiting for you. I'll get a wheelchair right away." Marcus froze. Judge? Was this woman a judge? As Sarah sat down in the wheelchair, she turned to Marcus. "Marcus, right? Thank you so much. I don't know how to thank you." "It's nothing," said Marcus, still in shock. "Your recovery is enough." As the nurse took Sarah away, Marcus stood there frozen. Judge Chen. The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. He went to the reception desk. "Excuse me, I just have a quick question. Judge Chen, which court does she work in?" The receptionist looked at him suspiciously. "Family court. Why do you ask?" Marcus's heart stopped. Family court. He would be there tomorrow morning, for Jake's custody. Marcus's hands were shaking as he got back into his car. Was this possible? Could the woman he had just helped be the judge who would decide his son's fate tomorrow? When he returned home, it was past 5 a.m. Jake was asleep, and Mrs. Rodriguez, his elderly neighbor, was dozing on the couch. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Marcus whispered. "I'm home." The elderly woman woke up. "Marcus, mijo, how was your night?" "Complicated," Marcus said. "Thank you so much. How was Jake?" "Perfect. He was a little worried about you, but I put him to sleep." After Mrs. Rodriguez left, Marcus went to Jake's room. His son was sleeping peacefully, holding a small toy car. Marcus sat down on the edge of the bed and stroked Jake's hair. "Everything will be okay tomorrow, little one," he whispered. "Daddy promises." But deep down, he was scared. Emma's lawyer was powerful, and Marcus had a public defender. Plus, working nights and construction during the day. How would the judge decide? And now this. Judge Chen. If it's really the same person. Marcus couldn't sleep. He woke Jake up at 7 a.m. "Dad, today's the big day, isn't it?" Jake said at breakfast. "Yes, buddy. But don't worry. No matter what happens, Dad loves you very much." "I love you too, Dad. And the bad guys can't take you away from me, can they?" Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "Of course they can't, Jake." Marcus waited nervously in the hallway of the Seattle family court. His lawyer, Tom Miller, stood beside him, reviewing the files. "Marcus, stay calm," said Tom. "Judge Chen is a fair person. She will listen to the facts." At that moment, the door opened and Marcus's breath caught in his throat. Judge Sarah Chen was entering the courtroom. It was the same woman, the pregnant woman he had helped last night. Sarah paused for a moment when she saw Marcus. There was surprise in her eyes, but she quickly composed herself and took her seat. "Good morning," Sarah said to the courtroom. "We're hearing the Williams vs. Williams custody case." Emma's lawyer, Richard Stone, stood up. His expensive suit, his carefully styled hair, everything about him was the opposite of Marcus. "Your Honor, my client, Emma Williams, believes that she is the best person to care for her child. Mr. Williams's irregular work hours, his lack of income, and—" "Objection," said Tom Miller. "Mr. Williams has been the sole caregiver for the child for the past 6 months and has done an excellent job." Sarah was reviewing the files but glancing at Marcus. The gentle, worried man from last night was here, fighting for his son. When Emma took the witness stand, Marcus's heart broke. His ex-wife looked beautiful, confident. "Marcus is a good man," Emma said, "but he can't provide the stability needed to raise a child. I'm married now. I've built a stable home. I can give Jake a better future." Richard Stone continued. "Mr. Williams drives for Uber at night and works on construction during the day. He can't spend time with his son. Mrs. Williams, on the other hand, can be a full-time mother to the child with her new husband." When it was Marcus's turn, he was trembling. "Mr. Williams," Sarah said, "can you tell us about your relationship with your son?" Marcus took a deep breath. Jake is the meaning of my life, Your Honor. Yes, I work 2 jobs because I want to give him the best. Yes, I'm tired most of the time, but every moment I spend with him is precious. He didn't abandon me, and I won't abandon him. A sparkle appeared in Sarah's eyes. Why did Mrs. Williams leave you, Mr. Williams? Marcus paused. She said she wasn't ready to be a mother. But Jake is not to blame for that. He is an innocent child, and he loves his father. The court went into recess. In Sarah's office, the judge was thinking about the previous night. This man had never thought twice about helping a pregnant stranger. Even with his own problems, he had taken on someone else's burden. In the hallway, Marcus was surprised to see Mrs. Rodriguez. Mrs. Rodriguez, what are you doing here? Mijo, I'm here to be your witness. Everyone needs to know how you've taken care of Jake. But I didn't ask you to... You don't have to ask. It's the right thing to do. Mrs. Rodriguez's testimony brought tears to Marcus's eyes. This man comes home every night and reads to Jake, no matter how tired he is. When the boy was sick, he stayed up for 3 nights watching over him. When Jake wanted to play basketball, Marcus made him a hoop in the yard. This child loves his father, and his father loves him. Tom Miller said in his closing statement, Your Honor, Marcus Williams isn't a perfect father, he's a super father. Even when he was all alone, he tried to protect his son. Jake's best place is with his father. Sarah went back to her room to make her decision. She couldn't stop thinking about the conversation from the night before. How can you tell an 8-year-old boy that his mother doesn't want him? This man was really trying to protect his child, both physically and emotionally. When Sarah returned to the courtroom, the atmosphere was tense. I have reached my decision in the case of Williams versus Williams, Sarah said, with the files in front of her. Marcus's heart was beating so fast he felt like it was going to jump out of his chest. This court has determined that it is in the best interest of the child to remain with his father, Marcus Williams. Emma's face fell, and Marcus couldn't breathe. Sarah continued, Mr. Williams, your life may not be easy, but your love and commitment to your son are undeniable. You have been caring for Jake on your own for the past 6 months and have met both his physical and emotional needs during that time. She then turned to Emma. Ms. Williams, you made the decision to abandon your child. You have no right to come back and disrupt his life again. Tears streamed down Marcus's face. However, Sarah said, Mr. Williams, I have some recommendations for you. I suggest you reduce your night shifts for the sake of your child's stability. I also recommend that you seek the support of a child psychologist. Marcus stood up. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll do anything. After the court adjourned, Sarah stopped Marcus. Mr. Williams, can we talk for a minute? Marcus approached, still wanting to thank her. Last night, Sarah began. Your Honor, don't worry about that. I was just... No, listen, Sarah said. Last night, when you helped me, you didn't know who I was. You just saw someone who needed help. That means a lot. Marcus's cheek flushed. Anyone would have done the same. No, Marcus, not everyone would have. And it didn't influence my decision. The files did, but it showed me what kind of person you are. Sarah paused, then continued. I'm going to be a single mother, and last night, I saw what kind of father I want to be. Jake is very lucky. 3 months later, Marcus was now only working his day job. Following Tom Miller's suggestion, he had found a child care center, eliminating the need to work nights. Jake was happy. His father was home every evening. One Saturday, while playing basketball with Jake in a park in downtown Seattle, he heard a familiar voice. Marcus? He turned and saw Sarah Chen. She was pushing a stroller with a baby inside. Judge Chen, Marcus said. How are you? This must be your little prince. Sarah smiled. You can call me Sarah now. And yes, this is David. It was easy to name him since he was born that night. Jake ran to his father. Dad, who's that? Jake, this is Mrs. Sarah. She helped me a lot. Jake politely extended his hand. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Sarah. Sarah was touched. You're such a kind boy, Jake. Your father is raising you well. They talked for a while in the park. Sarah shared how challenging it was, how being a single mother wasn't easy. But, Sarah said, there's something you taught me last night, Marcus. What was that? Sometimes the greatest help comes from strangers during our hardest times, and accepting that help isn't something to be ashamed of. Marcus smiled. Everyone needs help sometimes. Yes, Sarah said, and everyone can help sometimes. Jake ran over to them. Dad, can Mrs. Sarah and David come over for brunch? You make such great pancakes. Marcus blushed, and Sarah laughed. That's very kind of you, Jake. If your dad says it's okay. Of course, said Marcus. Our house is always open. Epilogue. 60 days later. Marcus's small house was bustling with activity. Jake was helping Sarah make pancakes, Marcus was making coffee, and David was laughing in his high chair. It feels so natural, Sarah said, flipping a pancake. What does? Marcus asked. This. Being a family. Being together. Marcus looked at her. Can I ask you something? Sure. Did you read my court file that night? Sarah stopped what she was doing and turned to him. Yes, I did. And what I saw was the same as what I saw the next night in the Uber. A good man. A good father. Jake came between them. Miss Sarah, are you going to be my dad's girlfriend? Both of them turned bright red. Jake, Marcus said. But Sarah laughed. Jake, how about we start by being friends? Okay, Jake said. But Dad is really lonely, you know? Marcus covered his face with his hands while Sarah kept laughing. Jake's right, Sarah whispered to Marcus. No one should be alone. Looking out the window, they could see the beautiful view of Seattle. 2 broken hearts, a coincidence, and a lot of love were bringing a new family together. That night, as Marcus tucked Jake into bed, his son hugged him. Dad, is Mom coming back? Marcus thought for a moment. I don't know, buddy. But here's what I do know. We're okay. You and me, and maybe Sarah and David too. We're a family. I think so too, said Jake. And Dad? Yes? Thank you for helping Mrs. Sarah that night, because now she's part of our family too. Marcus wiped his eyes. Sometimes the most beautiful stories in life come from the darkest nights. Sometimes an Uber ride isn't just a ride. Sometimes the only thing you have to do to save someone's life is be in the right place at the right time. And sometimes, the person you help is actually the one who will help you. That night, Marcus looked at his phone as he lay in bed. He deleted the Uber app. He didn't need to work nights anymore. 2 months later, Marcus realized how much his life had changed. It wasn't just the time he spent with Sarah and David, but he could see that Jake was a completely different child. He no longer asked about his mother, but instead wondered when Mrs. Sarah would be coming home. One Sunday evening, Sarah had stayed for dinner with David. While Jake was asleep in his room, Marcus and Sarah were sitting in the living room talking. Marcus, Sarah said, I want to ask you something. Sure. That night, did you ever think about the consequences of seeing me on Uber? Marcus lowered his head. I did, of course. But even if I knew what would happen, I would do the same thing. Why? Because it was the right thing to do. That's what I'm trying to teach Jake. People are responsible for their character, not their actions. Sarah smiled. That's a beautiful philosophy. My dad taught me that. He was a good man. He would have loved Jake. Are you like him? I hope so. He always said, Marcus, when life tests you, it's giving you a chance to show who you are. Sarah's eyes welled up. That's beautiful. Marcus turned to her. What about you? What does your family think of this? Sarah took a deep breath. My family. It's complicated. My dad is a retired judge. My mom is a lawyer. Success means everything to them. They were disappointed when they found out David would be growing up without a father. What did you say? I told them, some children grow up unhappy with 2 parents. Some grow up happy with 1 parent. I want David to grow up happy. Marcus knew how much courage that took. That's tough. But it was worth it, Because now David has Jake by his side and you're here too. This is a family." As they said these words, they both realized how natural they sounded. "Sarah," Marcus said, "I don't want to complicate your life." "Marcus, you're not complicating my life. You're making it better." 3 weeks later, Marcus came home from work to find an unexpected visitor. Emma was sitting in her car, waiting. Jake was at school. Mrs. Rodriguez was going to pick him up. Marcus got out of the car and approached Emma. "Emma, what are you doing here?" Emma got out of the car. She looked thin and tired. "Marcus, I need to talk to you. If it's about Jake, you know the court's decision." "It's not about Jake. It's about you." Marcus was surprised. "About me?" Emma looked away. "I heard you're seeing someone new." "That's none of your business, Emma. You left us, remember?" "I know," Emma said, her voice breaking. "And I made the biggest mistake of my life." Marcus stopped. He hadn't expected this conversation. "Emma, where were you 6 months ago? Where were you when Jake was sick? Where were you at the school meetings?" "I know, Marcus, but—" "No buts, Emma. Jake doesn't even ask about you anymore. Do you know that? Because he has a stable life now." Emma started crying. "I was just scared, Marcus. I wasn't ready to be a mother." "Then why are you coming back now?" "Because my new marriage is over. Richard cheated on me. And now I'm alone. I need Jake." Marcus felt a pang of pain, but he was also angry. "You come when you need Jake. Where were you when he needed you?" Emma couldn't answer. "Listen, Emma," Marcus said softly. "You're Jake's mother, and that won't change. But you can't be a constant figure in his life anymore. He's finding stability now." "Is this because of that woman, Sarah?" "No, Emma. It's because of your choices. Sarah is just someone who's here." Emma got back into her car. "Marcus, I'm sorry." "I know, Emma. But regret isn't enough. Being a father to Jake taught me that." As Emma drove away, Marcus's mind was in turmoil. Emma seemed truly sorry. But was it worth upsetting Jake's life again? That evening he talked to Sarah about what had happened. Sarah understood Marcus's situation. "What did you tell her?" Sarah asked. "The truth. Jake is finally finding stability. She doesn't have the right to shake him up again. But she's his mother." "Yes, but motherhood isn't just about giving birth. It's about being there every day, putting him to bed every night, making breakfast every morning. You're doing all that now, Sarah." Sarah paused. "I'm not his mother, Marcus." "No, you're not. But you're something better. You're the person he chose for himself." Jake came out of his room at that moment. "Dad, was Mom here? Mrs. Rodriguez said she saw her car." Marcus and Sarah exchanged glances. "Yes, buddy, your mom was here." "What did she want?" "She wanted to talk to you." Jake thought for a moment. "I don't want to talk to her. She left me. Mrs. Sarah never left me." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Jake, You're my real mom," Jake said. "My heart tells me so." Marcus hugged Jake. "Buddy, your mom made a mistake, but we can forgive her." "I already have, Dad, but that doesn't mean she has to come back to my room." A month later, Marcus and Sarah were officially engaged. It was a simple ceremony, with only Jake, David, Mrs. Rodriguez, and Sarah's family in attendance. Jake was the ring bearer and had started calling David brother. Sarah's mother spoke to Marcus after the ceremony. "Mr. Williams, I can see how happy my daughter is." "I'm very happy too, Mrs. Chen." "I was worried at first," Sarah's mother admitted. "You come from very different worlds." "Yes, we do. But we share the same values. Family, loyalty, love. I see that, and Jake, he's an amazing kid. Thanks to Sarah. She's such a good mother to him." On the wedding night, as Marcus sat at home with his new family, Jake approached him. "Dad, are you happy?" "I'm very happy, buddy. What about you?" "I'm happy too. We have a real family now." Sarah smiled as she rocked David in her arms. Marcus, do you think it was a coincidence that we met in Uber that night? I don't know, said Marcus. But if it was a coincidence, it was the best coincidence ever. Maybe it wasn't a coincidence, said Jake. Maybe God saw how kind your dad was and rewarded him. Marcus ruffled Jake's hair. Maybe you're right, buddy. Marcus had now opened his own small repair shop. With Sarah's support and by pooling their savings, they started Williams Family Auto. Jake would come to the shop after school, do his homework, and chat with his dad while he worked on cars. Sarah had switched to part-time work. This allowed her to spend more time with both David and Jake. One Saturday, while working at the shop, Marcus heard a familiar voice. Excuse me, can you take a look at my car? He turned around and saw his old customer, Richard Stone, Emma's former lawyer. Mr. Stone? What are you doing here? Richard looked embarrassed. Mr. Williams, I'm sorry. What I did in that case was wrong. Marcus wiped his hands. Why are you telling me this now? Because I lost custody of my own son. My ex-wife was right. I was too focused on making money and didn't spend enough time with him. Marcus paused. I'm sorry. You were right. What's best for the child is to be with someone who loves him and spends time with him. Can you still see your son? On weekends, and I cherish that time now. Marcus looked at Richard's car. It was a simple problem. He could fix it quickly. I can do it for free, Marcus said. No, please, I'll pay you. No, Marcus said with a smile. Sometimes people deserve a second chance. That evening at home, Marcus told Sarah about his conversation with Richard. You were very kind, Sarah said. You taught me that. Compassion can sometimes be the most powerful force. Jake was playing with his toys, and David was trying to crawl. Marcus watched them both. Sarah, I want to tell you something. What? That night when I saw you in the Uber, I only saw a pregnant woman, but now I realize that I saw the rest of my life. Sarah came closer. I felt the same way. In that car, when you were talking about Jake, I realized what a good father you are, and that David needs a father like you. Jake ran toward them. Mom, Dad, David is trying to walk. They both ran over and watched David take his first steps. The little boy was walking toward Marcus. Dad, David said, his first word. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Sarah, he called me Dad. Because you are his dad, said Sarah, just like I'm Jake's mom. Jake was clapping. David, bravo, brother. That evening, after the children had gone to bed, Marcus and Sarah sat in the garden. Marcus, is there anything you regret? No, said Marcus. Everything brought us here. Even Emma leaving us. Because that's how I met you. I don't regret it either. Even if David's father had left us. Because that's how we found a real family. Marcus touched Sarah's hand. You know, if I were still driving for Uber, maybe we'd have different stories. But this is our story, said Sarah. And it's perfect. Williams Family Auto was now Seattle's most trusted repair shop. Jake was 13 years old and loved working alongside his father. David was 5 years old, had started school, and loved Jake, calling him Big Brother. Sarah was still working part-time as a judge, but her family was her priority. One day, Jake approached his father. Dad, we have a family tree project at school. Should I write about my real family or? Write about your real family, of course, said Marcus. But which is my real family? Is my mom Emma, or is she Sarah? Marcus paused, thinking. Jake, a real family isn't made by blood, it's made by love. Emma gave birth to you, that's important. But Sarah raised you, that's important too. Both of them are part of your real family. So are you David's real dad? David is my son, Marcus said firmly. Because I love him, and he loves me. That's stronger than blood. Jake smiled. Then my real family is you. Mom Sarah, David, and I'll add Emma too, because she's part of my family. Marcus hugged Jake. You're a very smart boy. I learned it from you, Dad. That evening, when Sarah came home, Marcus told her about his conversation with Jake. "This child is truly special," said Sarah. "Both of them are special. David will be just as empathetic as Jake." "Because you're teaching them." "No," said Marcus. "Because we're teaching them." They looked out the window. Jake and David were playing catch in the yard. David's voice could be heard. "Big brother Jake, teach me." Marcus and Sarah looked at each other and understood. This story began with an Uber ride, but it was really a family story. And the best part was that it wasn't over yet. Because true love stories never end. They just get stronger, deeper, and more meaningful. That night, before going to bed, Marcus went into Jake's room. His son was asleep, holding David's photo. "Good night, buddy," Marcus whispered. "Tomorrow is a new day, a new adventure." Then he went to David's room. His little son was also asleep, holding his toy car. "Good night, David," he whispered. "You're my miracle, too." Sarah was reading a book in the bedroom. "Is everyone asleep?" she asked. "Yes, and they're both very happy." Marcus lay down on the bed. "Sarah, when I was crying in my car that night, did you imagine an ending like this?" "No," Sarah said with a smile. "This is much better." "This isn't an ending," Marcus said. "This is a new beginning." And he was right. Because some stories don't just change lives. Some change generations, and Marcus Williams's story was one of the latter. Because he had found his most precious passenger. And this time, the destination was home, forever.